Ladies and gentlemen, dear media and press representatives here in the room and of course also in the stream, a wonderful good morning and a very warm welcome to today's press conference at IPM ESSEN 2025. Tomorrow the show will start and then until Friday the world leading fair of horticulture will take place here in Essen. In this year with the slogan Endless Green Variety. And you will now already get some information and we are very happy to welcome you here. Thank you for being here. My name is Helena Felixbeger and I am happy to accompany you through this event, and I will also tell you what we are going to do. We'll start with a short introduction with the CEO of Messe Essen, and then we've got a talk for you and then a short interview. And we would like to provide an insight into the most important topics, trends and innovations of the industry. Then we will have time for your questions, and this is also true for our guests in the stream. You can send in your questions, and then we'll have a tiny break where you can accompany us outside into the lobby because we've got some exhibitors who will share some information on their latest creations and products. And for everybody here on site, we'll also have a little snack. And if you are interested, you can then get in on the bus and go to the horticulture exhibition in Dortmund. But now let's get started. Welcome to CEO of Messe Essen. Welcome to Oliver P. Kuhrt. Mr. Kuhrt, tomorrow finally the IPM 2025, the 41st IPM will start. What do you think about when you think of this show? Well, first of all, I also would like to extend you a warm welcome. We are very happy to see so many of you here, and we also welcome everybody who is joining us from afar. IPM, of course, is one of the major highlights at Messe Essen, and it's really great to have this at the start of the year. It is not only giving us in the industry, but also the entire country a good impetus. If we have rain outside, not really warm, not really cold, and you then enter the halls and find all these flowers, it's so great, and it's fascinating to see what people do in order to prepare logistically, in order to make sure that all the supplies are here on time, that also the temperatures are right. And our team really has been used to this for decades, and we also know almost all of the exhibitors, the families, which also is like a big family meeting here, and this is really great. I can only recommend to everybody to use the opportunity before it gets started to walk around, to feel the atmosphere, and this time when we set up the show is very intensive at IPM, but it's also fun. And we also are very happy to give a good start into the horticulture year. Of course, people are a little bit insecure. What will happen? What will the season be like? What are the framework conditions? We, of course, know that there are big challenges ahead, but now it's so great to see all the greenery here. You said that it's like a family meeting. Now many specialist visitors come from afar. And where will the visitors find what? Well, this is now quite complicated, and I sometimes have to check again because I'm learning every day. There are new segments added every year, and I really have to thank my team first of all, because this is a year of preparations. It's really a big challenge to get prepared for everything, and here the first day after the show is already the first day preparing for the next show, because there's so much work involved, and I would like to thank everybody contributing to this also in the different associations. So let's get started with plants. Plants is the biggest area, and here I'm talking about everything that you mean when you say plant. You mean cut flowers, nursery trees, shrubs, ornamental plants, everything that you can see here. And this is in the halls 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and also in the gallery. So this is really giving you a broad overview of all the plant novelties. No other show is that big, and the plants account for 61% of the exhibitors. Now the plant technology and equipment. This is in halls 3 and 4 and in the gallery, and it accounts for 32%. And here it's about greenhouses, irrigation, lighting, equipment to fill pots, and so on and so forth. And then we've got floristry. This is in hall 5 with pots, decorations for your home and garden, floristry products and articles, and this accounts for roughly 7% of the exhibiting companies. And then we've got the major part of garden features, which is also very important for us, and this is a little bit distributed. We make sure that the exhibitors are where they fit best. Software is very important now. Artificial intelligence is a topic that also enters our world. Then packaging, store construction, and Landgard with the spring exhibition is in hall 1A, and this is very nice. So we are very happy that it worked out this year. We decided to make this larger area available to Landgard, and I'm sure that this will also give a win-win situation. Well, the split up of IPM Essen is now changed a little bit because of the order days. We had to sort it a little bit. Those who previously were in hall 1A were given a new place this year, and here on the chart you can see some information on the FDF, for example. They are moving to hall 5, and this is where you also have the IPM competitions, but I'm sure Mr. Götz will share some more information on this. And the IPM Discovery Center is now moving to hall 5, and the Gardeners Forum is in hall 4, and the Info Center Horticulture is also in hall 4, and Eva will provide some more information on this. All in all, we have 1,434 exhibitors from 45 different countries, and this really shows you that it's a top event here in Essen. If you also see this against the background of the economic framework conditions and the challenges that the industry is facing, it's great to see that we have more exhibitors than last year, and also a more international group. And this is so important if you have the world's leading fair here. Here we've got an increase. 69% of our exhibitors come from abroad. And regarding the visitors, and we can already give you some information today because we've got the pre-sales, and this gives us an overview of visitors, and this also shows a lot of visitors from more than 100 countries coming here in order to see the show. So this really shows again that this will be a very international event, and we've got 13 nations representing their products in group stands under their national flag. And this is also quite important because this shows the importance of the trade show, not only for us, but also abroad, because we also have our events abroad. And apart from that, IPM ESSEN every year also offers a very comprehensive framework and support program. What can the visitors look forward to? Well, we'll focus more and more on what we have in the abbreviation IPM plants. Plants and gardeners are most important. What is new is a gardeners forum in Hall 2 as a central point for producing horticulture. Then we've got greet and meet with industry representatives and some tours around the show and some presentations. And we've got a lot of other special tours around the show, especially, and this is also very important for young people, for trainees, the North Rhine-Westphalia Teaching Association is offering a speed learning tour. Within 100 seconds, you are to learn the most important information from the horticulture field. You get an overview of the technical innovations in halls 3 and 4 by the new technology tour, which is new again. And then we also have the tours at the meeting point on the topics of shrubs, perennials, and climate trees, and also the IPM Discovery Center here with a focus on sustainable POS concepts. And among the highlights, we also have the British content creator Michael Perry, and all the tours are offered both in English and in German, and this is something we offer to all the visitors. And apart from that, urban greenery is also given a great attention. Then we have the Green Cities Europe Award, cooperation with the European Nursery Stock Association and the Federation of German Tree Nurseries. For the first time at IPM, we will present the award in this new international competition. 10 cities sent their applications. We've got projects from Lyon, Breslau, Vicenza, and we, of course, invite you to come to us and see us in Hall 7. This is directly opposite the BDB. So this is, again, an area which is a very big highlight. It's quite a tough program. If you want to see everything, then you have to speed up and walk around the show. So you really have to pick and choose what is most interesting to you. And we saw in our many discussions that we really tried to have a cluster of topics together, and the added value is created by the combination of the exhibitors plus the broad offer of the support program. Well, listening to you, Mr. Kuhrt, so many things are new, fresh, unprecedented, and so many challenges. So if you really want to see everything, you have to be fast, probably. But do you also have the tried and tested? Yes, in recent years, we have done a lot and we've got a lot of experience, and there are some tried and tested things that we offer to our visitors. We've got some well-known formats, high-tech. This is something that is also important for the horticulture, will be shared in the Innovation Center. Technology, here people discuss about topics, for example, cannabis cultivation from a technical point of view. And we already received a lot of questions from the media on this topic. People seem to be very interested in seeing how this works. Then we've got a special area here for the entire value chain, from cultivation, seeds to the final product. CannabisNet is a project funded by the Federal Ministry for the Economy with a vision of establishing a future-prone cannabis market in Germany. A lot of questions were already sent in advance, and I think here on site many of these questions can be answered. And then IPM, of course, is also a time of the year where we have a lot of competitions. The novelty showcase with the Show Your Colors Award, the IPM Cup, and the other awards that are taking place again. And another topic which also is discussed almost every single day, that is the topic of finding young people, young recruits, because there is a lack of skilled workers, and here we are offering a career project in the Galleria and a project with the Ulmer Publishing House, and we also have some special events for school leavers and trainees. And then there is another topic that has further and further developed in recent years, and these are the delegations managed by ITRA, the European Federation. It's really surprising to see so new constellations developing. I'm not sure whether Mr. Herbert will be back this year, who is the head of ITRA in Brussels, and he's also responsible for the Global Award Improvement Management, and he will also have delegations from DIY markets and gardening centers walking around the show. And for the first time, we also have a representative of one of the largest chain stores in Australia here. So you can see that we are even highly respected at the other end of the world, and we are very pleased to welcome everybody and to have such an excellent international character of the show. So endless green variety, this is really a wonderful slogan. Let me ask a personal question at the end. Out of this endless green variety, what types of flowers, blossoms do you like most? What are you passionate about? Well, I didn't really see this here, but probably it's also here. But I have to admit that I'm not an absolute expert. Probably people here know a lot more. So I love the Mediterranean area, and in Mallorca there is a flower that flowers all year long, bougainvillea, and it's such a beautiful color. So for me, it's really great, and I think it's also something that is very robust and not easy to destroy. So whenever I go back to Mallorca, then I see it over and over again. So it's really very robust and survived even my care. Thank you very much for your personal insight. Thank you very much to Oliver P. Kuhrt, CEO of Messe Essen.
So now let's take a look at horticulture. Let's see where we are and where we are going and what the figures will tell us. And in doing so, of course, we will keep an eye on the young plants. And I would like to welcome two personalities, the President of the Central Association of Horticulture and the Regional Horticultural Association Rhineland, and the IPM Advisory Board and the project of the Marketing and Product Management and Retail of the fair, Klaus Gaumann. Cordial welcome. So let's make a head start with the hard facts. Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf, what about the present figures? What can we derive for that for the market? Yes, we can say that in 2024, 8.8 billion sales were achieved with actually flowers and decorative plants. That's 1% up from the previous year, 2023. But I must tell you that we were driven by price. It's not that we sold more flowers or plants, but in actual fact, the prices rose to some degree. We do see that the consumer this year, i.e. 2024, spent 107 euros on plants and flowers. That's the purchasing power, which is slightly more than €1 as compared to 2023. But we also see that the consumers are very pernickety as to what they want to buy. That may have to do with the fact that in the post-pandemic period still has an influence, or people are uncertain about the economic development also privately. What about the labor market? And they are a little more hesitant, and they concentrate more on the long-living plants that are more robust and that could add some value to what they have at home. Nevertheless, we have to say that last year, let's say between March and May, we saw a peak. People were motivated, so things improved. But then what happens to horticulture quite often is that we had a summer of showers. And then the consumers said, well, what happens? What can I buy now? And then they were more hesitant than during the peak times. And we were also seeing that when asking our operations and when doing our survey. We've got a business survey, and we could see that this hesitance was also observed there. But there is some good news. For 2025, at the moment, it seems to be recovering, at least for the first half of the year. That's with the Business Climate Index. And I'm really happy because I do hope that we will be able to promote our products more. So, flowery outlooks. Yes, may I ask Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf, when looking at this year, we are also in for some political developments. What's your expectance? What's your expectation? Honestly, I do hope that there will be a more business-friendly approach. We are living in very difficult times, and looking at the political representatives, I see so little optimism. We have small and medium-sized companies in our industry, and we do need urgently more security and certainty when it comes to our planning. Let's start by talking about what the future will bring about: effective reduction of tax burden. At the moment, we are really pressed because of the many taxes that we are having to pay. We are no longer competitive. When talking about globalization and the international market, then to have the same competitiveness means we have to have the same framework conditions as our colleagues in other countries. So tax burden is one topic. Then there is the energy problem. Germany is an economic country, yes, and when it comes to producing vegetable, cultivating fruit, young plants, and so on, there are companies that need energy because they have to use a lot of energy, so it has to be affordable. And also when comparing ourselves to other countries, when we have to pay too much on energy, and here the industry electricity price doesn't help, but we have to have the opportunity to also be able to operate our high energy operations. The money we pay on energy cannot be invested, and our horticultural market needs to develop, which is the prerequisite for the affordability. And if we don't have this money, and nobody has it, then we will no longer be competitive. And I'm so sorry to have to add that, but honestly, Germany is the world champion when it comes to bureaucracy. It is a disaster. Who on earth would have more bureaucracy than Germany? I don't think there is anybody. And if I were to wish for anything, these are the three aspects that I would like to speak to the future politicians about and say, well, do get started there, and then I'm not afraid of the future. Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed. And long-term planning security, Mr. Gaumann, nobody, of course, knows what the future holds for us. So let me ask you, how much optimism do you have when looking at the future? And, of course, we also want to know the reasons for that. First, I'm always optimistic, which is helpful in many instances and walks of life. But I do believe that the world is grey enough anyway at the moment. And I'm not talking about the weather, but the general atmosphere. People are actually gloomy, and therefore we have to have some counter movement, and at least most people want to have that and have it in their heart. They want to have more joy, emotions, light, and resorts where they can go to. And I don't think there's another industry that can meet these requirements better than we can. We give people color, odor, wonderful smells and perfume and plants, and all of that lets me look optimistically into the future also for our industry and for IPM. So IPM tells and shows everybody what joie de vivre is all about. And trends and counter trends. There's a trend where there is no counter trend, i.e. climate change. It will keep us on our toes. So, Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf, may I ask you, how can this industry react? Well, climate change will have to be accompanied by us, and we can hopefully also weaken it a little bit. We are facing longer drought periods, we have strong rainfalls, we have changing water supplies and new pests actually due to the climate change and new plant diseases. So it is important to join forces at IPM and that we use the swarm knowledge to discuss what we can do. Well, one is new water management. And here we are coming back to investments, as I mentioned earlier on. In the future, we must be prepared to see water as a finite resource, and that technically and digitally speaking, we have to prepare for that. How can we save water, manage water supply better, and to thus support production? We need more resilient cultivation methods, and we've got the right person standing here because he will be partly responsible for that. We need plants that can withstand the changing weather for a longer time, and that's just as important. We need an improved crop and plant protection. At the moment, we are no longer in a position that with some of our plants we can react in the way we should react in order to make them available. The diversity we are mentioning left, right, and center, and that is so well demonstrated by this trade fair, will be endangered if we can't react to the pests and diseases in the future. And of course, who else, if not we, could be optimistic and further this? And who, if not us, could give this extra value to people that they need in view of the climate change? Well, I can see that Mr. Gaumann's optimism is already contagious. And Mr. Gaumann, we heard Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf say that we have to adjust and adapt to the developments with fresh and innovative ideas. And looking at innovation, IPM is always at the forefront. I think it is since 2008 that IPM ESSEN has the novelty showcase. And plant novelties are presented and awards are presented. This year, 55 plants from 33 exhibitors from 11 countries. What a wonderful number of figures, 55, 33, and 11. And Mr. Gaumann, you are on board, aren't you? Yes, after some years now, we are back in the novelties presentation. Bedding and balcony plants are not really the main period in January, and for the Christmas plants, it's too late. And for example, the poinsettia. So this year we have a new poinsettia, an orange one, which is not a run-of-the-mill poinsettia, because 80 to 85% of the market would concentrate on the red ones. And apart from the basic color, you see it's speckled with white or speckles on red or orange leaves. This is something that is unique all over the world, and that's why we said this has to be registered in the IPM novelties presentation, and we are optimistic with respect to the future buyers. These poinsettias are about to be sold now, and so IPM is very important for the selling season, and if we can exhibit those plants on our stand, then we can actively support our sales. So this is the fantasy star orange. So after Christmas is before Christmas is normal, but the season starts very, very early, and it is a good time for the poinsettia. We have to say that. And we will also keep our fingers crossed for you, but I'm sure you also have more for IPM. We will see you in the foyer later on, and this is also important for you on the stream and here. What else will you give us to look at? Well, I don't want to overdo it, but I will just briefly say, of course, apart from the orange poinsettia with white speckles, we also have many others, many red ones, and Selecta intense. We elect a special poinsettia of the year who has to qualify, and you can admire it on our stand. And of course, when it comes to carnations, where we are world leader, we have something to say. And for the first time, we will integrate the potted carnations, Lucky Lit, in our stand. Last year, we introduced it at IPM, and that was quite a success. And we want to then continue that. We are talking about Wetman for the first time, accompanied with purchased last year in summer a carnations breeder from the UK, so that here we want to set the scene for the market. And then in the backdrop you see Bakari. And if you think of what I said in the beginning, grey and so on, when we first saw this plant, we thought this is like a sunrise in the African savannah. And that is why we ended up with this name. So you will see this on IPM for the very first time. And then, in fact, there is an international innovation, not a plant, but a process or a production-driven innovation. We are exhibiting an innovative and sustainable rooting system where, without a substrate, plants can root in paper pockets, then are sent to Europe, and there are strips that are connected with one another, and they can automatically be cut and processed. And the last step is a positive example for synergies in the industry. As a young plant company, together with TTA, a leading machine producer, we worked together, and this made the innovation possible. And there is a world premiere today. The press releases are sent out this minute, and you can admire it then. Wonderful. So you've whetted our appetite. Another novelty that we have, Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf, is the Gardeners Forum in Hall 2. Mr. Kuhrt mentioned it, and you fought for it. Would you want to tell us more about it?
Well, yes, we heard about novelty. We want to really interconnect more and more of the companies. So let's just say it's back to the roots. We are coming back to the roots. We are really talking as a gardener to a gardener. So the young companies, the breeders, the gardeners have the opportunity to meet. We've got a platform to meet and exchange. And this is so important in view of what we expect and what is expected from us and the innovation we need a better exchange among ourselves. And together we will present our information, we'll have discussions, we've got best practice examples we will show. We also have the discussions, the presentations, the tours, and between 9:30 and 10:30 we'll have meat and coffee. So you can come, have a cup of coffee, talk to people, and in this hour we can get prepared, and then we really talk about back to the roots. So the best warm-up for IPM, so to speak. Listening to you, Mr. Gaumann, you also talked about young plants and seedlings, and this is an international business. It's an absolutely international business, and you need passion without borders. Can you talk about international? Yes, we need passion without borders, and we do have this passion. Many people know that our plants, the plants providing the seedlings, are in Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia, but then we have most of our customers in Europe, but also in the United States, in Northern America, and in Asia. And consumers buying plants, flowering plants, green plants, large ones, small ones, you find them everywhere. And the trade between the producers and the consumer is also a global trade. So if there is a business which needs international networking and passion, then this is the green industry. And this is why IPM is an optimum meeting point for all of us. It's the place to be in these 4 days. Within the 4 days, you learn or you meet more international customers and colleagues and suppliers and competitors. And this is unprecedented. You can only meet so many people here. So the entire community on one spot. You can say that at IPM the world feels at home. But just another question. What about the conflict between partnership and competition? Isn't this a contradiction? If you ask me, I would say no. It's very simple. Because innovation is based on exchange. The joint development, this being together, really shows that we only survive together. Horticulture does not know any borders. The climate and horticulture are the factors that don't know any borders. We are active globally, and we need this knowledge in order to make progress. And no, we are not competitors. We are working together. And that's so important. And if you walk around the show and see this spirit, it's really excellent. As Mr. Kuhrt said, at the end of the day, we are all a big family and everybody will find their niche. What I would like to wish for is that we, this wonderful industry, should receive more respect and appreciation. This is something that I miss some days, because horticulture offers so much more. Special expertise, great jobs, and we can do something for our world. We can be active. We can do something for our world, and this should be appreciated from the outside as well. And this is my message to the media. Please advertise our industry, because it's the nicest industry ever. And now a small challenge. Give me 5 words, Mr. Gaumann, to describe your wishes for the year 2025. Only 5 words, please. Well, I just talk a little bit in order to give him time to prepare the answer to this question, but I can see optimism and confidence here. So, Mr. Gaumann's 5 words for the year 2025. Well, it is a challenge to only mention 5 words. So, world peace, stable climate, optimistic consumers willing to buy our products, a successful IPM, and health for all of us personally. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaumann. But Mrs. Kähler-Theuerkauf, this is a question for you as well. So, 5 words to describe the year 2025. I only have 3 words. Gardener, plants, future. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Eva Kähler-Theuerkauf and Mr. Klaus Gaumann. Now, in our bunch of information here, we of course also have to focus on floristry. The FDF, the German Association of Florists, will present itself starting tomorrow. And now we welcome the president of the FDF Association, Klaus Götz. A very warm welcome to you. A wonderful good morning to everybody. I can tell all the ladies and gentlemen here that, again, we've got optimist standing here. I already talked to him. So what is encouraging you, Mr. Götz, and what makes you look positively into the future? I had 2 excellent speakers before me, and they already described optimism and the reason for optimism. I can't really add anything, and I can also see that we are very strongly interconnected and networks. We all love our professions. But now we are on the 27th day of the year 2025. If we are not optimistic now, we could forget about the entire year. No, we do feel a lot of optimism because we have so wonderful materials that bring emotions, passion, and optimism for the full year. And this really shows what we need for our life. Pessimism won't help us. It won't help anybody. We do need an optimistic attitude in view of everything that we can influence every day in our work. And this is something that I can also see every single day. When I hand over flowers, I can see that people look happy, that they really are happy and thrilled by receiving a bouquet of flowers. And that's unique. Flowers give you wonderful feelings and joy and optimism, even in difficult times, as the previous speakers already said. I do not want to mention the problems. It won't get easier just because you repeat it. April showers bring May flowers. That's what you normally say, but we are now in January, and we see a new location for the FDF. What is the reason? Well, Mr. Kuhrt already mentioned that we are now in Hall 5, and we moved to Hall 5 because we said this is close to our exhibitors. We are amid our exhibitors for florists' needs so that we have direct contact to the exhibitors, and this is a synergy. In the past, you had to walk from Hall 5 to Hall 1, and this is not helpful. Now we are in the midst of those offering and selling floristry articles, and we give them the opportunity to present themselves. And right in the middle, in the heart, you will also have the FDF Rotary Stage. What is happening there? This is the place to be, of course. On this stage, you will see live demonstrations and live shows of international florists. Each country has its own specific style and way of staging colors, showing the colors and flower interpretations. And this is what we are showing there. And of course, there are always wedding shows, there are demonstrations of the German master florists, the German master Josef Dürr, here comes from Baden-Württemberg, my home, and Mr. Hartmann, who won the second place, and the third runner as well, and they will try to show the latest trends. Every year you can see changes happening. People look differently at the products. We've got changes in the presentation, in the offer, and IPM really shows the novelties and the plant novelties that we pick up in our floristry presentations. We want our stores to see what's new, and thanks to our art director, Mr. Hoffmann, and his team, we will then really stage flowers. Well, really, this is attracting a lot of the public. Now, Mr. Götz, your industry also is in a difficult position. You have to find a link between what is timeless and elegant and classic and what is new and at the pulse of the day. What do you give the florists to prepare them? Well, florists have to be wide awake and alert in this fast-lived world, and this means for everybody knows their business, their customers, knows what they should and have to offer. And this is why it's so important to be flexible, to always think about what can I sell, what do I want to sell. I do not always have to sell everything. This is the variety of our industry. Each flower shop will have their own style, their own rules. But at the end of the day, you have to try and show the customer something new, something unexpected as well. The florists are often said to just be the ones with the green pinafores, but they also have a lot of tasks interpreting something new, showing something new, and many of the customers do not expect it from us, but this is something we have to show, and this is why IPM is so important. So you also have to meet the customer and you have to surprise the customer. Yes, exactly. And why do you think IPM is the most important leading fair for the industry? Because here is where all the areas of gardening and horticulture meet. Here you can have a direct exchange between breeders, traders, customers. We see the entire spectrum of the green industry, and this is so important for the customer, for us as store managers. We have to know what is new, what we have to develop, where we can buy new elements, and this is what this exchange is about. A trade show is always a marketplace for communication, for exchange, and this is important for the future, because if you have many small parts, then you can build a big picture, and you can also support each other if you talk to each other, if you have an exchange, because things that are difficult for some may be easy for others and the other way around. Thank you. Thank you for these insights, Mr. Götz.
Do stay with me, because now we have reached the end of this official part and we want to proceed with our Q&A session. And in order to answer the questions, let me ask back on stage Oliver P. Kuhrt, Eva Kähler-Theuerkauf, and Mr. Klaus Gaumann. So I think we do have 4 microphones. And dear representatives of the press and the media, now it's your time to raise your hand, and we have a roving mic, I think. Yes, here we are. So if you want to ask a question, just make yourself visible, because then you will also be heard. And dear followers on the stream, do send us your questions. I've already received some of them, and that's what we will start with. Smartville Digital. Urs Seiler is asking the first question. What are the most important countries among the exhibitors, and are there any from Switzerland? Mr. Kuhrt, that's yours. I think Ms. Hölker, the project head, can give us the best answer for that. Yes, as every year we have a ranking of the 5 most important nations of exhibitors. Of course, for many years it's been Germany, then the Netherlands, Italy, Belgium, and Spain. Sometimes there is a swap between Belgium and Spain. Germany 421, the Netherlands 371 exhibitors. These are the largest exhibitor groups. From Switzerland, 17 to 18 exhibitors are at IPM. I hope that was a good answer to your question. Rolf Schra, DPA, wants to know to what extent and in which areas does Ms. Kähler-Theuerkauf expect some improvement of the business situation in 2025? Are there sales targets that you could already let us know about? Well, I would be careful to make any projections with respect to sales because, as I said, weather is either favorable or unfavorable for our industry. If only I knew the weather for next year, I would maybe apply as a position for Federal Chancellor, but I don't. But the fact is that we will go more in the direction of presenting ourselves to the outside world. We want to show what we can do with our products, and we will go into counseling. Quite often, customers don't purchase a product because they don't really know whether that would be a product suitable for their garden and so on. So we have to give more advice, both for interior decoration as well as outside. Not only can we take the green plants into cities where we can bring about urban green, but we can also go into the offices and the inside environments, and we will make this more known so that people get to know what there is that we can do. Is there anyone here who would like to ask a question? Obviously not. So another question from online, Rolf Schra again, and he wants to know from Mr. Götz, what is the present flower trend? The present trend is always a continuation of identification with color that is also seen in fashion. So fashion and lifestyle has an influence on the selection of the colors for flowers. So that is the first trend direction. And in the future, it's also important to look at procurement and sustainability of the material that we are using. So we really make sure that you can track and trace where flowers came from so that it should be low CO2 emitting production and selling. People buying our products want to know where they come from. So apart from colors and flower arrangements, the origin and sustainability is always important, but natural appearance is also something that will be here to stay because it reflects the life people are yearning for, looking at the production, environmentally friendly products and so on. naturalness and sustainability. Mr. Schra, I can only tell you that it is worthwhile to stay online after our short break and to accompany us into the foyer, because we can show you the material about trends, innovation and novelties. This is just a hint from me for you. Unless there are more questions here in the room, then I can say hats to all the representatives of the different trades in this industry, and see you again online just a few moments, and we will meet again in the foyer.
Welcome back. And now I am next to the creative director of the FDF Germany, Manfred Hoffmann. And we now, of course, would love to hear about the latest trends this year. Flowers are the most universal language. Mr. Hoffmann, what messages can best be got across with flowers? Well, we have a lot of events coming up to us: Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Easter, and what have you. And this is why I would like to show you some examples for these. Well, now we promised the latest trends. Mr. Hoffmann, can you perhaps first tell about the latest trends? We've got 4 annual trends, and they have the same importance. They depend on the part of the year. First of all, Amor, which I really love, but then also the exotic embrace on the upper left. This is rather reddish and is leading you into the tropical world. Then we've got the coast topic, which is very strong for this spring coral coast. It looks very pastel colored, but it has its origin in the free forms of the oceans. And last but not least, we've got soft scents. This is a very soft topic. It's something that is very often used for weddings, for example, and it looks into the interior world. Well, now let's move on, and you can come close to me. Perhaps we should first of all describe these wonderful bouquets. What do we have here? Well, this is a wonderful example for Amor, love. And this is a message which is sent out for example, Valentine's Day, for Mother's Day. This is very much focusing on feelings, on emotions. This can express the message, I love you, but it can also be more. For example, if you propose. But a heart is always good for the world because it's simply the best message we know. Love is as universal as flowers. And now you've got another example here. This is Coral Coast. And here you can see the variety of different blossoms, the great variety nature offers, and also the smells that you can smell here. And this is like a good bouquet for young couples, but also for Mother's Day. Who wouldn't be happy? Well, I also have to smell this a little bit now. Well, this smells so great. And now we saw these 4 trends, 2 of them in more detail. Why are these trends indispensable for IPM and for florists? Well, trends are produced by all of us, standing here and outside. It's just a wish list, and we will analyze the needs of people. And this is important to help you sell your products. The customer who is going there without having a lot of information should get the right feeling and find the right product. We have the 4 trends per year in order to provide the industry an economic factor. They can sell flowers around the year, also linking up to what we had last year and what we'll have the next year. So you provide orientation. Yes, it's a lot of work to analyze this for the German-speaking area, but now you can see the results here, and the results confirm, and the resonance confirms that we are on the right track. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Hoffmann. And now we move on to somebody we already met during the press conference, Mr. Gaumann from Selecta and Selecta Klemm. And now you want to show something to us. You want to show Fantasy Star Orange. Well, this is it. Here you can see that we are selling natural products. And people were telling me this is rather looking red and not so much orange. But this morning it looked a lot more orange. It depends on the lighting. We've got a reddish variant, a more orangey variant. And you can see the high number of flowers and these wonderful colors and these white speckles on the orange leaves. This is unprecedented in the world. How much talent is required in order to really keep this fresh and nice for a long period of time? You need a green thumb and you need a little bit of luck. The breeder has done its work in order to produce such a wonderful product. And of course, it's a natural product. It's not just the equipment, and you have to avoid a drought. You have to find the right amount of water. You should not have it in an area where it's drafty. You have to provide it with some water, but you also need a little bit of fortune and luck. But now let's move here, because this is another plant I don't want to talk the name of. It's a Calibrachoa. This is these bell-shaped flowers. When we saw them for the first time, we were thrilled by the colors, yellow, orangey, and red, and a little bit of violet. People said this reminds me of a sunset in the African savannah. We wanted to use a name such as African sunset, but this name was already in the market, and this is why we decided to call it Bakari, as you can see it here, because the colors are not only providing a wonderful, colorful impression, but colors can also roar. And Bakari comes from the Swahili language and means future-oriented optimism, so it really fits our world. And it fits in very well with what you already shared during the press conference. Thank you. Oh, and now dinosaurs. This is where we are going now. We are at Midiflora, and here I've got Katrin Weber, and we can see a lot of plants and a lot of dinosaurs. Here I think the target group is logical, but let me ask you nevertheless. Well, you are obviously right. We are talking to children here, children loving dinosaurs, but also whole families. What is it about? What is the concept? With this holistic marketing concept, we would like to address families and children and prepare them for plants and caring for plants. These are called dino snacks, plants that dinosaurs really love, and the children care for them because they want to have food for the dinosaurs. Yes, they really deal with the plants because they want to have food for the dinosaurs. Mrs. Weber, just take us along your trip. This is our Medisaur girl, and she is a plant researcher, loves green, and on her trip to the Green Shadow Valley, we get to know the 5 friends and the favorite dino snack plants. And Flora helps them care for the plants and to make sure that the plants thrive. And then there is a lot of games and gimmicks around. Can you also give us some information? Yes, we've got a lot of crafts projects and stories in the pot cover. And of course, you also can download this from the internet in audio and text files, playing cards for the children. So how big is your dinosaur? How big is my dinosaur? And this is the best. You always have a QR code where you can access a little audio story, and Flora, together with the 5 new friends, is experiencing an adventure with the dino snacks. Okay, this is a wonderful story, but now how can we make sure that these plants really thrive and grow? Well, this is shared on the information that you can find in the back of the plants. Here, for example, it says, just use your finger to test the soil, and if the finger is dry, then it's high time you watered your plant. So very easy instructions, easy to understand for children. But now I'm also very excited to know who thought about it. Well, the most clever scientists, our children. My son, 5 years of age, he is in a dino fever, and he is involved in the marketing and in the telling of the stories. This is by children, for children. He is the most important expert, and he really wants all the other children love these dinosaurs. Yes, children are catered for by children, so the children can create their own dinosaur environment. Yes, in their rooms or in the living rooms. These are easy to handle plants, and they can create their own dinosaur world at home in their children's rooms and play with the dinos. And so you can grow the dino snack of your favorite dino and watch it grow. If your child now wants to visit the gardening center in the future, then it's probably due to Medisaurus flora. Thank you. And now we move on to Reinhold Bertels from Bertels Tree Nurseries.
And the material to look at is outside, because those trees have grown to a size where we can't have them inside anymore. We know they can grow even more. During the press conference, we heard about the climate change. We have to become climate resilient. How can these trees help? Well, these trees have always existed. So the selection of trees used in urban or garden environments used to be different. And now we have the problem of the climate change. And so researchers try to find out what can happen without many problems in the gardens of the future and the cities of the future. And those trees that have existed all the time were really reselected. We have the leatherleaf tree, the American sweet gum, or the field maple. It's not necessarily the drought, but the heat that they can cope with better. So you still have to make sure that the soil and the environment are the right ones. But once you've catered for that, in the future, the higher temperatures and less water will not actually make those trees falter. Who are you talking to? People with gardens or horticulturists or what? Well, we will see more trees in gardens in the years to come. There used to be a time where people feared that the trees may grow too high, but now people think of shadow and of outer appearance, and we see that a majority of the trees are now returning to the gardens. So this is a new trend, and this is the opportunity for tree nurseries. 10, 20, 25% of the trees produced today are sold to private gardeners and the rest to the general public urban gardening. So this variety will not only work in parks and cities, but also in private gardens. Could you give us 3 properties of these trees for our followers online? What makes these trees climate resilient? Once they have started to grow, they are easy to care for. They have a small crown, they can be cut, and they are very appealing and don't cause any problems. Okay, so many reasons for these trees to be sold like hotcakes. Mr. Bertels from Bertels Nurseries. And now we are going into the color, and we will see plants walk up on walls. And Lisa Scheiderer from the startup Urban Greenery is with us. Let us move here. We can see it very well. How do you make plants grow on walls? Well, first, there is a lot of work and thinking behind putting those plants on the wall and make them stay there happily for as long as possible. So we have got this box developed with automatic irrigation and everything pre-assembled, so the customer orders the box, gets it delivered, just has to put in the plants, and it only takes 30 minutes. So how do you attach it to the wall? Well, you've got the drilling template that you can see there, and you can work around with it. Then you take the fitting set. These are stainless steel rails that are very well suited for the walls. Drill the holes, put the box on the wall, and that's it. And if you later want to have more than one box, you just take the next rail and put it in. This is a construction kit thing, and you can actually add to it, and you can water it from the top, and it's fine. So that's actually good for the climate in a room. If I want to purchase a starter set, what does it comprise? The box pre-assembled as you like it, the fitting set, then the granule that the plant will grow in, and the starter kit also has 3 pre-selected plants that will actually grow very well in this box. So let's take a look at what plants are best suited. Well, we've tested about 40 different ones. The classic is, of course, the ivy that can survive anybody, even my care, but there are also some other small trees that are wonderful, and a small monstera that does a good job. But you better just visit the website and see what takes your liking. Well, not everybody is a talented indoor gardener. Some people just plainly can't do it. Is that something who can, for people who are really no talents? Well, it survived me, and I was the first test person. So you can be sure there's a water tank in the box, and you water from the top, and there's a small watering can, which is red. And whenever you see the red watering can, it means water me, and then you have to make sure that the water stays in the box, because it disappears at the moment, and then for 7 or 10 days, depending on the climate in the room, you don't have to do anything, and then when the watering can appears again, you need to water it again. So thank you very much. The box from Urban Greenery does not just make sure that you have good air in your room, but it's also adding more life to your office or your living room or wherever. And thank you very much for your questions. We wish you a wonderful remaining day, and we were able to actually meet your curiosity.